The wooden gavel hung in the air like thunder waiting to strike. Justice Okafor's arm was raised high, his face stern under the lights of the packed courtroom. His voice was deep, calm, and heavy with finality as he began to speak the words that would change a woman's life forever. Chiamaka Obi. A door slammed open. Every head in the courtroom spun at once. A thin man in a ragged grey coat stumbled inside. His beard was wild, his hair uncombed, his slippers torn. Dust clung to his sleeves as if he had walked through half the city to get there. His chest heaved like drums. "Don't kill her! She's innocent!" he shouted. Gaffs tore through the crowd like wind scattering leaves. A clerk dropped his pen. A woman in the gallery covered her mouth with trembling hands. Justice Okafor froze, his gavel still in the air. His eyes narrowed as he slowly lowered his arm. The man raised a battered old phone, its body tied together with a rubber band. "My lord, I have evidence," he said, voice trembling but bold. The courtroom fell into a silence so deep, even the ceiling fan seemed to stop. Chiamaka Obi stood in the dock, hands shaking. She was beautiful in her black dress and matching head tie, but her face was pale, her eyes wet. She wasn't just any woman. She was the CEO of one of Enugu's biggest companies, a billionaire who commanded respect in boardrooms. Yet here, accused of murdering her husband, she looked like a lost child. Justice Okafor leaned forward. "Who are you, and why should this court listen to you?" The man swallowed hard. "My name is Ifeanyi." The judge studied him for a moment that stretched like forever. Then, to the shock of everyone, he said, "Let him speak." The gallery erupted in whispers. Two stern officers moved closer, ready to grab the man if he made a false step. Ifeanyi gripped the phone tighter. "My lord, on the morning Obina Obi died, I was inside the abandoned building next to their mansion. I saw everything. I recorded it." The court gasped. Enugu woke up to a bright sky, motorbikes buzzing and vendors shouting about bread and akara. But inside Chiamaka's mansion, the morning was heavy with tension. In the kitchen, Chiamaka stood with a small fruit knife. She had just peeled oranges for her husband, Obina. Juice glistened on her fingers. Her eyes were swollen from crying the night before. "You promised me honesty," she whispered, her voice tight. "I told you I am fixing it," Obina replied, running a hand over his head. They loved each other deeply, but lately their love had been bruised by pressure. Business wars, ugly rumors, and rivals who smiled at them in public but plotted in shadows. The argument rose like fire, then calmed like smoke, then rose again. Finally, Obina sighed and said, "We'll talk later, Nkem. Let us breathe." Chiamaka nodded, still hurt, the small knife still in her hand. Outside, in the shell of the abandoned building next door, Ifeanyi watched silently. He hadn't always been homeless. Once he was a computer engineer, a man with a family, respect, and a future. But betrayal had stripped him of everything. Now he lived in corners of the city that people forgot. The abandoned building had been his shelter for 3 nights. He liked it because from there, he could hear life. The smells from the mansion's kitchen, the guards' radios, the chatter of the street. But that morning, something changed. 2 men slipped through the side gate of the mansion. Their steps were too sharp, their eyes too restless. One wore a cap low over his face, the other kept checking a phone in his pocket. They didn't belong. Ifeanyi's stomach tightened. He pulled out his cracked old phone and pressed record. Inside, Obina turned toward the back door at the sound of footsteps. The 2 men burst in. "Obina!" Chiamaka screamed, rushing forward without thinking. Everything became chaos. Shouts, chairs scraping, the shine of a knife. Obina fought bravely, but the blade was too fast, too cruel. Chiamaka's scream cut through the air. The men grabbed her arms. The fruit knife fell from her hands. One of the assassins snatched it, smeared it in Obina's blood, and tossed it beside her. Sirens wailed faintly in the distance. The killers fled. Ifeanyi kept filming, his hands shaking but steady enough to catch faces, movements, details. He knew what would happen next. People would see Chiamaka crying with the bloody knife and believe the wrong story. The world always believed the wrong story about the weak, even when the weak was a billionaire woman. So he hid the video. Until today. My lord, Ifeanyi's voice trembled but did not break. The assassins killed Obi. They planted the knife. They framed his wife. I caught it all on this phone. Justice Okafor's face was carved from stone. You claim to have this on that phone? Yes, my lord. The clerk rushed forward, receiving the device as though it was a sacred relic. A cable appeared. The phone connected to the court computer. A progress bar crawled. Reporters leaned forward, pens shaking. Chiamaka's lawyer whispered a prayer. Chiamaka herself clutched the dock railing, her tears flowing freely. For the first time since her arrest, hope flickered in her eyes. Justice Okafor leaned forward. This court will see the video. The screen lit up. Shaky footage of concrete beams, then a mango tree, then the mansion's back door. Play. The room fell silent. The two men slipped in. One face appeared clear. Someone gasped. Chiamaka sobbed loudly from the dock. The attack played out brutally on the screen. Obina's cry, Chiamaka's scream, the killer's cruelty, the bloody knife planted by her side. The hall filled with shocked cries. A woman fainted. The judge raised his hand. Pause. The frame froze on the assassins' faces. The registrar spoke, his voice shaking. My lord, these men are Emeka Uzo and Chike Anamdi. Chaos exploded. Reporters scribbled furiously. Spectators shouted. Chiamaka's in-laws, who had accused her for months, sat frozen in shame. Order! The judge roared, slamming his gavel. This is still my court. By nightfall, Enugu buzzed with one story. A homeless man had saved a billionaire woman from the hangman's noose. Wanted posters of Emeka Uzo and Chike Anamdi flooded the city. News stations replayed the video endlessly. Within 24 hours, the two assassins were caught. The next day, they stood in court, wrists chained, faces pale. Did you kill Obi? The judge asked. Emeka hesitated. Chike broke first. Yes, my lord, but we were sent. By who? Justice Okafor demanded. Chike's voice cracked. By Chief Damian Okudili, Chiamaka's greatest rival. The name fell into the courtroom like lightning. Chiamaka gasped. Reporters screamed. Even the judge's eyes darkened. Bring Damian Okudili to this court, he ordered. Damian arrived the next day in a navy blue suit, his face calm but his eyes restless. He denied everything. His lawyer sneered, this homeless man, Ifeanyi, is lying. Look at him, bitter, broken, the perfect pawn. But then came Ifeanyi's testimony. He told his story. How years ago his wife and daughter were killed in a mysterious fire after his company exposed fraud linked to Damian's businesses. Gasps rippled. I lost everything, Ifeanyi said, tears in his eyes. But when I saw these men enter Chiamaka's home, I knew I could not stay silent again. Damian smirked. This is all drama. Where is the proof? Then came the twist. A new witness stepped forward. A young man in a plain shirt, his hands shaking. State your name, the registrar said. Victor Okudili, he whispered. The courtroom gasped. My lord, Victor's voice cracked. It's true. My father ordered Obina's death. He paid the assassins. He forced me to forge bank records to frame Ifeanyi as a liar. I cannot carry his sins anymore. Chaos erupted. Damien roared in anger, calling his own son a traitor. But forensic experts quickly confirmed the documents were fake. Justice Okafor's voice standard. This court finds Damien Okudili guilty of conspiracy to commit murder, obstruction of justice, and framing an innocent woman. He is sentenced to life imprisonment without parole. Bang, bang, bang. The courtroom exploded in cheers. A week later, Chiamaka Obi walked free. The governor granted her a full pardon. Cameras flashed as she embraced her daughter Adeze in front of the courthouse. But the moment that captured the nation came when she turned and embraced Ifeanyi, the broken man who had saved her. You gave me my life back. From today, you are no longer homeless. You are family. The cameras caught it. The billionaire and the beggar, united by truth. Songs were written. Newspapers called him the homeless hero. His story swept across Nigeria and beyond. That night, Ifeanyi lay in a clean bed for the first time in years. He stared at his ceiling, whispering to the memory of his late wife and daughter. I couldn't save you, but today, I saved someone else. Maybe now, I can rest. Outside, Enugu buzzed with the story of the century. And in every heart, one truth echoed. Justice had finally spoken.